When I first sat down to plan this video, my goal was simple: make a list of all the upcoming games I'm excited about. But as I started writing, I quickly realized something. Almost all of them were third-person action games. So instead of fighting fate, I embraced it. Here are my top 6 upcoming third-person action games that you should absolutely have on your radar.
It began as song, pitched sweet and solemn. They that heard came hollow.
Developed by Digital Extremes, the creators of Warframe, Soulframe is the studio's new upcoming free-to-play MMORPG. At first glance you might think, oh, Warframe, but with swords. And while there are clear similarities, like the name and striking art direction, Soulframe carves its own identity by swapping sci-fi for a rich fantasy setting. The game takes place in the world of Midrath, featuring melee-focused combat with no stamina bar, meaning you can swing your sword to your heart's content. Similar to Warframe, Soulframe will have procedurally generated levels in the form of dungeons. Visually, Soulframe is stunning. The art direction ensures it doesn't feel like another generic fantasy title. There's currently an ongoing pre-alpha test, Soulframe Preludes. I haven't got access to it yet, but based on gameplay shown by other content creators, Digital Extremes might just have another hit on their hands. I've recently started playing Warframe, and I have to say, I get the hype. The game is truly free to play, locking no story content behind any subscriptions or paid expansions. Even with only a few hours logged at the time of writing this, I can see why Digital Extremes has garnered such goodwill amongst this community. Goodwill goes a long way in the world of gaming. Let's hope the game releases in a good state and that goodwill continues. No specific release date has been given yet, but the game is set to drop sometime in 2025.
Join us, won't you?
Developed by Rebel Wolves, a new studio founded by ex-CD Projekt Red developers who worked on games such as The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, The Blood of the Dawnwalker is the studio's debut game. A paragraph on the game's website reads, "From Rebel Wolves comes the first chapter of a brand new role-playing saga, The Blood of the Dawnwalker." This sounds like they plan on this being a franchise with sequels, or maybe even their own multimedia franchise that expands beyond video games. Not much is known about the game yet, just a CGI trailer. Usually, CGI trailers don't get me hyped. When I see a CGI trailer for an unreleased game, I say, wake me up when there's gameplay, before going back to sleep. But the pedigree of this studio has already made this game one of my most anticipated gaming titles. Set in 14th century Europe, vampires emerge from the shadows to claim what they have been denied for centuries. You play as Cohen, a man turned Dawnwalker. The game will have you make choices that will presumably affect the direction of the story. Will you side with the vampires or with humanity? Only one trailer has been released yet. The trailer shows off a strong art direction with some unique enemy designs, such as the mechanical flying creature we see our protagonist encountering. Recently, the game's director, Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz, did an interview with Games Radar where he shed some light on what to expect of the game's scope. Tomaszkiewicz said, "In terms of quality, we definitely look at AAA, because this is where we are coming from, the quality level of The Witcher 3. Our games are not as huge in terms of amount of content and gameplay hours. We have a smaller studio, this is our first project, so we definitely are building something smaller. But we want to build something as robust in terms of quality, maybe a bit shorter." He also stated the game is aiming for a 30 to 40 hour runtime, emphasizing quality over quantity. There's no release date for this title yet, and I wouldn't expect one anytime soon. In the meantime, we'll just have to lurk in the game subreddit, as we're drip fed info over the coming years.
What's your plan, knowing you have only 66 days to live? Just run away?
One easy way to sell me on a game is by letting me play as a samurai ninja. Games like Metal Gear Rising and Sekiro are my jam. Phantom Blade Zero could end up being dog shit and I'll still love it. Developed by S-Game, Phantom Blade Zero is the first AAA title from the studio. The game is gorgeous with a strong art direction and its moody atmosphere. On top of all that, the character animations are exceptional. There's a fair few trailers released in this game and some extended gameplay trailers too. I urge you to watch these in full to see for yourself how impressive this game looks. Although this list contains games from established franchises from more well-known developers, I think Phantom Blade Zero is the one I'm currently looking forward to the most. I think the reason for this is that gameplay trailer I mentioned. This boss fight looks incredible and truly imaginative. Seriously, watch it. S-Game are also developing a 2D game called Phantom Blade Executioners. I've seen some say this is a prequel to Zero, but I struggle to find any concrete information on the game. There's no release date for these games yet, but Phantom Blade Zero is currently aiming for a fall 2026 release.
What's your plan, knowing you have only 66 days to live?
Get my heart back.
A few weeks ago, I opened YouTube and seen the trailer for Ninja Gaiden 4. I clicked on the trailer and began watching. About a minute in and I was sold. Samurai ninjas, that's my jam. Then this logo appeared. Needless to say, my excitement went from a 10 right up to 100. If you're familiar with this channel, then you know I adore Nier Automata, also developed by Platinum Games. I won't go as far as to say the Platinum Games can do no wrong. Babylon's Fall was quite the stinker, but their name definitely means something to me. The gameplay looks flashy and stylish. I'd expect no less from Platinum Games. The trailer shows off a new protagonist to the series, the young ninja prodigy, Yakumo. The game's director has also confirmed that we will be able to play as the series' longtime protagonist, Ryu Hayabusa, but the focus will be on Yakumo. The trailer gives off strong Devil May Cry 4 vibes, with the new kid facing off against the legend. I expect the two of them to make friends before the end of the game, with Ryu taking on a mentor role. I have a confession. I've never played a 3D Ninja Gaiden game. I played the original on my NES Mini, but I've never touched any of the Team Ninja games. The game is set to release fall of 2025, so I have until then to get caught up in the series.
So you've come, Raven.
Fuck off, Hayabusa. I will execute my mission.
The continent of Pywell. A land soaked in blood by the battles of those who seek peace and those who seek to shatter it. Here begins the saga of the Grey.
Developed by Peril Abyss, the makers of Black Desert Online, Crimson Desert is an open-world action-adventure game. This is the second game on this list that is a tangential spin-off of a previously established MMO. What makes Crimson Desert different from Soulframe though, is that it is not another MMO RPG, but instead a single-player open-world third-person action game. Set in the fantasy continent of Pywell, you play as Cliff, a Greyman on a quest to save the land from an impending catastrophe. The game is going for a European medieval fantasy look. The colours are vibrant, making the game look like those painterly D&D inspired wallpapers I'm such a big fan of. Along with the standard things you find in every fantasy game, grassy plains, dense forests, strongholds made from stone, the game has these sky islands decorated with these geometric structures that give it all an otherworldly feel. This shot in particular gives me strong copied city vibes from Nier Automata, with its monochrome colouring and its cubic design. The sword and shield combat gives the gameplay a weighty and methodical feel. The particle effects add an extra bit of flair too, which I like. The game also has horseback riding, mountain climbing, paragliding, and wait, what's that? You can also ride a dragon. They must have been inspired by my devlogs. There's a lot of gameplay videos on the game's channel, so if you're interested in finding out more, I definitely suggest going there. The game is set to release late 2025.
For those who have survived, and for those who will live on, this is our mission.
Come, Kaiser. We will travel across worlds, leap through dimensions, together.
I have been following this game's development for almost 10 years now. Back in 2016, the first trailer for Lost Soul Aside was released, showing off a stylish character action game developed by one man in China named Yang Bing. Bing started the development of this game after being inspired by Final Fantasy XV, which released in 2014. Since 2016, the game has moved on from a one-man project and is now being developed by Bing's new game studio, Ulti-Zero Games. In 2021, it was announced that Sony will be publishing the game and it will be coming to PC and the PS5. The game's inspirations are clear at a glance. The protagonist looks like a not so distant cousin of Noctis. The gameplay is reminiscent of Devil May Cry 4, specifically when playing as Virgil. It's crazy to compare the original trailer released almost 9 years ago to a trailer that was released just last week. The original artistic vision remains the same, but now the world is more detailed with higher res textures and models. This character from the original trailer seems to have been redesigned since then. This character shown in the 2021 gameplay reveal could be a different character completely though, so I'm not sure. The newest trailer shows off some combat encounters with colossal enemies. Seeing these titans makes me wonder if these battles are inspired by Final Fantasy XVI with its icon battles. For a game that's been in development for almost a decade, there's little info released about the game's story and world to dig into. The game is set to release on May 30th of this year. Let's hope it can carve its own identity and not live in the shadow of the games that inspired it.
Never wanted to be a hero. But for humanity's sake, you must.
Then give me your power, Arena.
That was 6 upcoming third-person action games releasing in 2025 and beyond. You may be wondering why I left out some bigger upcoming titles like Ghost of Yotai and The Witcher 4. I wanted to use this video to highlight some upcoming games that may not have been on your radar. I hope you found at least one game here that you didn't know about before that you will keep an eye on in the upcoming months and years. This video is obviously quite different from my normal devlog content. I plan to experiment with more types of videos going forward, as this channel celebrates video games and the industry that makes them. If you enjoyed, then please consider subscribing. Until next time.